Okay, good day to my friends, all of you, and welcome to my channel one more time. If you have visited my channel for the first time, and don't forget to press or subscribe my channel and wait for more. And my friends, today I'm going to share a few ideas about the meaning of lying. Okay, the first first stage, I'm going to provide you with the definition of lying. The first, and next one is the reasons why people lie. The next third one is third stage. I'm going to give kind of signs, and that will be easy for you to identify. And it's very basic. And lying or telling the truth, it's kind of human nature. That means everybody has got kind of inherent, intrinsic, innate, and want or need to tell lies in different kind of situations and different to different kind of people. It depends on the emotion. It depends on the activities, on the acts that people are doing, which are very necessary for them to tell lies. And until recently there has been little actual and factual research about how often people lie. And the 2004 Reader's Digest poll found that as many as 96% of people admit to lie at least sometimes. That means at least twice or three times a day. And this is kind of frequent, right? And these days you can see the people are telling lies to each other without blinking their eyes. And you can feel this. It is common, right? It's becoming widespread and prevalent. But my friends, you have to be aware. You have to be aware of this kind of let's say, actions. Why? Because if you tell a lie once, that your tongue will get used to telling and another lie second time. Because in order to cover the first lie, you have to make up the second lie. That means you must be able to deceive the person again and again until you, let's say, come into kind of a deadlock, or let's say into kind of ditch. That means, my friend, if you're telling lies, and I advise you to stop here, and you have to tell the truth once, and you will get used to it. This is the human nature. And my friend, let me move on to the definition of the lying, and I'm going to look at this one. It is a definition of Britannica that you can easily search for this definition on the Google, very easy. And it says any communicative act that aims to cause the receivers of the communication to adopt and persist in a false belief. But we cannot, let's say, limit ourselves to this kind of definition, because some people give different kind of, may give different kind of definitions of lying, right? And but it is not important to know the definition of the lying. It is important to know why people lie. Okay, and let's learn these the reasons. Okay, cause why people lie, really. And we can look at the different kind of angles. For example, the child's angles and adults, because they give different kind of excuses. They always make up these excuses, right? And the first one can be that to avoid being punished. For example, imagine a child didn't do the homework, and the teacher is asking, why didn't you do the homework? The child exactly automatically and tries to formulate kind of mischief or false ideas in his own mind, and makes up the story. For example, I didn't have time, or my parents gave me such kind of tasks and the housework, and I had to go to my grandparents' home, and different kind of things, different kind of excuses. And why do you think this? What do you think this child is making up this story? The reason is he doesn't want to be punished. The first reason. And what about in terms of adults? We can easily say that if adults must work, right, and they have got jobs, that means lying is connected to their current work position. For example, the person couldn't accomplish the task on time, That means this person is not punctual, right? He never thinks that everything in advance. That means he has to make up a excuse. He has to make up kind of deception. In this case, this person has to invent a new story about the job, right? And maybe not having time, or going to a meeting, attending kind of a different conference, and the taking the family members or the children to the hospital, and the kind of excuses. All of these excuses are connected to avoiding being punished. This is number one. And next one is to obtain a reward, and that which is not easily, let's say, readily obtainable. Okay, for example, you want to have a kind of very precious thing in your hand, right? In order to get to read this kind of price, and some people have to tell lies to the authorities. This is very, and this also very common. This happens mostly about and let's say children, and but most frequently it is prevalent among adults. For example, I will give one example for this one. Imagine the person is going to get a job which is decent, and that means the job has got a lot of incentives. For example, extra bonuses if you accomplish the task with 125%. That means if you accomplish at this level, you are going to get extra incentives, or the employers can give you the free house, free car, right, the free lunch, or free bus ride, etc. In order to have to get the job, my friend, then some adults, mostly, and the people who adults who have finished their university education recently, and they have to exaggerate their own abilities, capacities, and the work experience, even though they don't have any kind of experience in reality. Right, this is a second type of lie. This is also very common. You can meet such kind of people around you. Look at around you, and you can find this kind of people easily. And also, the next one is also very common. For example, to protect another person from being punished. For example, your relative, your brother, your sister, and didn't finish something on time, or didn't come to kind of meeting. Right, in order to protect this person, you have to make up story. The only reason is what to protect your relative, your brother, your sister, your sibling, or couple, right? And this kind of excuse mostly repeated at workplaces and among friends and universities, in any aspects of life, right? And next one is most people lie, and mostly the unmarried adults, or it's also very famous among teenagers, and to let's say, to win the admiration of the others. For example, you're not rich enough, you're not qualified enough, but in order to draw the attention of the others, the others that you love, somebody, right? Mostly it's about the girls and boys, right? In order to draw their attention, you have to exaggerate your ability, or you have to show off yourself, and you have to tell the qualities and kind of traits and characteristics that you don't have. And this is also very common among adults and teenagers, mostly unmarried youngsters, right? This were also very common. And another basic thing is that most people tend to lie when they want to get out of a very awkward situation, right? A very awkward situation that happens in our lifetime, for example. And you can hear such kind of conversation while talking on the telephone. If you're stuck in uncomfortable situation, of course, the first thing that you can do is that you say, I have got another job to do and I will call you later. This is one excuse. Or somebody is calling at the door, I have to answer it. Then you hang up the telephone. This kind of excuse also very common in any aspects of the life. And last but not least, my friends, some people try to avoid embarrassment with the help of lying or deceiving the other people. For example, and mostly it happens among children, right? Imagine the child, a schoolboy, sitting on the chair during the lesson sometime, and the teacher noted that there was water spilling out of his chair, and in order to avoid this kind of awkward and embarrassing situation, of course the child wants to avoid such kind of embarrassment. He tries to make up a story and says, it's not because of my pants, and he says it's because of my water in my bottle, and I didn't know that bottle in my bag would be opened and spill the spill. This kind of excuses may happen among children. And another reason is another kind of condition can be that among adults it's also very common, the widespread, for example, and also we as adults don't want to be embarrassed among other people. If you are sitting, let's say we're sitting with our co-workers, our friends and colleagues, and if this is human nature, if you suddenly fuss, right, the kind of voice that's coming from your backward, and you don't want to get embarrassed, and you have to make kind of excuse that this sound is not coming from your backwards, but coming from your stomach, inside your body, inside your let's say belly, right, abdomen. This is also very common. And the last one is, hopefully the last one, and there are such kind of people, they use their information and on the behalf of their own self. That means they always in order to control or exercise power over other people, they have to tell, they have to cover the information. They always try to hide the real information, and instead of the real information, they send the false information out to other people's ears. This happened, and this kind of action happened that done by Hitler, right? Hitler. This is mostly dangerous motive, and among other reasons. And the next thing is, my friends, and the question comes, and how do you know whether people are lying or not? And according to my knowledge, some people try to lie, and you can easily feel that. Look at into his or her eyes while they are speaking. If they always try to focus on your face and your eyes if they are telling the truth. If they are lying, they try to avoid their eyes. They cannot keep eye contact with you. This is the first sign. And next sign can be that you can see their hands shake. This can be because of the awkward situation, or this can be because of the telling a lie or deceiving you, right? This can be next sign. And then children always they sweat when they are lying. That means you can see the water on their forehead and dripping from through their face, meandering through their face. This also on the type of sign that children are lying or not. And the last but not least, you can identify easily that if I'm not mistaken, and after finishing the story in the police ask um, your, let's say, friend to retell, to let's say recommunicate the story from the very ending uh, to the beginning. That means you have to ask your friend to reverse the story from the last sentence to the first sentence. If he or she is able to do so, that means he is telling the truth. Or if he's missing some parts of the story, that means he has made up the story. This another reason, another sign. And next one is, you can see the people while they're lying, their eyes always go around and around. That means they are trying to avoid being in difficult situation. And they always another reason, another sign is they always try to think and deeply before telling the next sentence, right? They always try to make up the next sentence. Then in this condition, they let's say they pause, right? They stop telling the story because in their mind something goes wrong, and because in this period, they are making up the story, the next let's say next steps. And being indifference, for example, shrugging or lack of expression. Sometimes people and let's say learn the excuse by heart before they convey the information to you, right? And you can feel this, and it is not emotional. The story is not emotional, right? Then that means it is retold, and it is easily retold. Why? Because the person has already learned this story by heart. That means you cannot see any kind of facial expression, there's a boring posture, right? In this case, the person seems to be indifferent. This becoming indifferent, that means, and usually necessitates telling the lie. And another reason is if a person seems uncertain, right, unsure about what he or she is telling, that means it's considered the person is trying to invent a story. And sometimes people and let's say emit, sometimes they always, maybe intentionally or unintentionally, try to lay out details. Why? Because they have got something in their mind. They try to let's say go around the basic details, and they're trying to deceive you. This can be another sign of lying. And all in all, my friends, it is very difficult to avoid lying, even for me and for other people, and especially these days, it's very difficult. If you want to be very truthful, if you want to stop lying, you have to find ways to ban, to prevent, to stay off yourself and telling lies, right? And to your father, maybe to your friends, and you have to find a way. You have to find a solution to stop this kind of awkward, let's say, entering into awkward situations. And for me, the best way is to pray. To pray extra, to perform extra prayers, right? Or 3 or 4 units of prayers, I think, enough for a piece of mind. This is my way of, let's say, preventing myself from lying. This is also a good way. And some people do and charities, right? They give out their extra money to poor people, right? Mostly to scoundrels. They give out their money and they donate into kind of schools or kind of organization which can help poor people with their basic needs. That means it's also very useful. And why lying is considered a sin? Because if once you lie, that means you cannot get rid of such kind of situation, then you get used to, and some people call you even the deceiver, or let's say, now I cannot remember the word, but there is kind of word, mountebank, mountebank, mountebank. I recall this because it's all the statements, all sentences are fabricated, right? All fabricated and deceived. This is a warning to me and to you, my friends. And don't forget about learning how to get out of lying and how to stop lying. And thanks for watching my videos, and don't forget to subscribe and comment on this topic. See you next videos.